Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Todd, and figured I'd take a chance to do another video review of a record. About a month ago, I reviewed the recent record from Lincoln Brewster and thought I would do so with a new record I've really been enjoying digging into and assessing and sort of reviewing for worship. That's the new record from Charlie Hall called The Bright Sadness. Now, I will tell you to start things off, I'm not a huge Charlie Hall fan. In other words, I've liked one song and then maybe not one, but I have some close friends who are real big fans of his and have got the chance to see him live, which they say is awesome and makes a big difference. And so I've never had the chance to see Charlie lead worship in person. I look forward to that. But the way I work with music is I'm always assessing music in a corporate worship mindset. I just always have. For years and years and years, even secular songs. Okay, even when I hear secular songs, I think, man, that drum beat is so cool. Would that work in worship? And why is that song so inspirational? Is that song saying something that believers need to hear? And that's just kind of the way I'm wired. Okay, and so I'm even more so that way when I'm listening to Christian music Christian music that's geared towards worship. And so one reason I've never really cared for Charlie Hall's music for the entire catalog is that there's always a lot of weird stuff in Charlie's music. There's a lot of strange loops or synthesizer thing that's weird, or just weird. There's just weird stuff. And if you've listened to Charlie's albums, you know that that's true. And I always got the feeling that sort of these records were being made in the studio, and sort of these guys were in the studio just sort of goofing off and finding things they thought were cool, sort of disconnecting from what really works and what doesn't. And so I never liked the weird stuff that much because of course, I'm thinking, I can't pull that off in church. That would be totally weird to do in church. People would be freaked out if I did that thing. Or that would distract people, or be hard to flow into another song, or all of those things. So, when I got The Bright Sadness by Charlie Hall, I had some folks tell me, hey, it's even weirder than before, which kind of scared me. But let me tell you something. I think this is the finest record that Charlie Hall has ever done. I absolutely love this record, and I'll tell you why. In previous records, here's what I believe. I believe that in Charlie's previous work, the weirdness, the experimentation, the ambient nature of his songs seemed so closely tied to the song. In other words, in Charlie's older stuff, I thought there were so many songs that you couldn't do them justice without the weirdness. Okay? So the weirdness was connected to the song. Right? It was a part of the song. The Bright Sadness is a complete departure from that. Now listen, there's weirdness. Okay? There's a lot of weirdness in this record, but here's the deal. I think that there is a disconnect in this record. In other words, all of the experimentation, all of the weird stuff is there, but it is not connected to the song itself. And so we can do those songs without those weird things and still feel like we are doing an accurate representation of the tunes. That has amazed me about this record. I have found so many songs that I know that I'll be able to do, that I'll be able to use. A couple of highlights for me: song 1, Chainbreaker, which is just an absolute rocker. Great feel and great energy, and some great lyrics too. New Year, which is a fantastic song. It's very, very simple. Almost, if you strip away some of the things, almost a folk rock, or even like a little Americana acoustic pop thing. I mean, it's a really nice song. Also really dig a song called Scenes, which I also think marks a huge departure for Charlie, because it's not a worship song, but he's sort of singing about all the things in his life that speak to God, that speak of God and His presence and His power. And so you hear Charlie singing about his children and his family, and so I think there's also sort of a maturity level. I mean, Charlie Hall's a very hip guy, but I think lyrically he's going in a direction now that sounds really more like my life, as a guy in his 30s with kids, and so I'm digging that. Also a tune called Thrill, which is so cool, but sounds like it'd be kind of hard to pull off rhythmically. But that's another big one. And then Knit My Heart is probably, for me, is the standout. It's so great. Great energy, great lyrics. The other thing that I'm noticing about Charlie Hall, and it's true really in many of his records, but I hear it most in this record, The Bright Sadness, is Charlie Hall's one of the few guys who I think can get away from using similar lines in multiple songs. There's something about Charlie Hall's music that when you buy a record, you're going to hear some themes. For example, in The Bright Sadness, Charlie uses the phrase burning heart in probably 3 songs. And so if you listen to the record, you're going to hear some of those things from song to song to song that he is using some of these same phrases, and it works. That's what's interesting to me, is that it feels like a theme record. It feels like it works. And I don't know if it would feel that way if Brenton Brown did that. I don't know if it would feel that way if we got a Tim Hughes record or a Big Daddy Weave record or something, and we heard those. I don't know if we would find them the same way. We might think, they just kind of say the same thing over and over again. But I think that The Bright Sadness is a great record. There are some weird things. There are some things that you'd probably never want to do in your church. There's a lot of stuff that's very encouraging and scripturally is right on. And I encourage you to check it out. If you're a Charlie Hall fan, I think you're going to like it because he's great at what he does. But if you're not, I think you'd also really enjoy digging into that record. So anyway, that's my review. That's my take on Charlie Hall's The Bright Sadness.